Ritik, your biology subject matter expert from Memoneet. I hope that your exams went really well because it's been an year or more than an year of hard work, which is like a kind of paid off. So we don't know what might be the result, right? So what would be the result? The only thing that we know right now is that we gave 100% because whatever we learned or whatever we revised, we gave it honestly. That's what matter. And yes, we faced the exam so confidently. That's what matter. So rest result we will see later. Right now, obviously you're going to check the answer key. That's why we are here to discuss what might be the correct answer and what is the possible explanation to it. We are trying to just give a justification regarding the correct answer. Okay. So based on this, you will have a analyzation or a kind of calculation like what would be your mark. So don't get disappointed whether if you're having a good marks, that's actually a good. Congratulations. But if there are some issues happening, don't get disappointed, okay? Because the final answer key is yet to come as as one thing. The second thing is this is not the end. Okay. Do understand, do remember that you have a long way to go. So this you have just started. Okay. You have just finished your pre-university boards, that is 11th 12th class, and now you have to get into a independent journey in the studies. So there is a long way or a long route to go. Okay, I hope you understand this, and with that confidence and smile, let us move to discuss the appropriate and a possible answer to the uh yes, I'll be discussing on the major parts, that is from 136 question. So what is the 136 question in this paper says that, see, go with the questions and its option. Okay, don't go with the question number because you guys know we have different code of question papers. So out of which, in this, that is the cardiac activity of the art are regulated by. So just ignore what they have actually mentioned here. Means whatever the answers that they have discussed, we will just look into it. So cardiac activities of the heart are regulated by option A, that is, so four have been given, that is the nodal tissue. Then what is actually a nodal tissue speciality is, so nodal tissue now, it is a cardiac activities of the heart. So one is the nodal tissue, also known as the heart's natural pacemaker. So heart natural pacemaker, right? So that is the one thing which is going to initiate the electric impulse that controls the heartbeat. This is one thing. So the next one is about a special neural center in the medulla oblongata. So what is that? That means the medulla oblongata, which is actually located in the brain stream, right? So they contain a cardiac center which regulates the heart rate and blood pressure through the autonomic nervous system. The C that they have given us adrenal medullary hormones. So adrenal medullary hormones here, what it is a hormone like one is epinephrine and norepinephrine released by the adrenal medulla, which can increase the heart rate and cardiac output, especially during the stress and emergency situation. The last D, that is what? Adrenal cortical hormone. So this adrenal cortical hormone, while that they actually produces a hormone like, okay, like glucocorticoids. These primarily regulate the blood pressure, electrolyte balance, metabolism, and immune function also. Okay, and they do not directly regulate the cardiac activity. So, out of these four, choose the correct answers from the option given below. So, now I have explained you what are the specific function. You might have already guessed the correct answer based on my explanation. So, that is option two. That is nodal tissue is correct. Then a special neural in a medulla oblongata is correct. Then option C, that is adrenal medullary hormone, is also correct. So why it doesn't come here? Because while the adrenal cortex produces the hormone like, okay, and their major thing is blood pressure, regulates blood pressure, electrolyte balance, and but the major thing is they do not directly regulate the cardiac activity. So here, what is the question? Cardiac activity of the heart are regulated by. So adrenal cortical hormones, they directly do not regulate the, yes, that is the cardiac activity. So next, moving to the 137 question. So what does 137 question speaks about? Streptokinase produced by the bacterium Streptococcus is used for very easy, that is the removing the clots from the blood vessels. 138, who is known as the father of ecology in India? It is a direct question. It is Ramdo Misra, correct, is actually called as the father of Indian ecology. So we have the 139, that is statement and assertion and reason kind of statement. So assertion is a typical unfertilized angiosperm embryo sac at maturity is 8 nucleate and 7 celled. Do you remember the diagram now? You have imagine the diagram first. The reason they have given is the egg apparatus has two polar nuclei. That is the reason that they are saying. So you say what is might be the correct answer. So that is the 4. That is A is true, but R is false because A is true. The egg apparatus that you are seeing has, okay, in the embryo sac contains one egg cell and two synergens, not the polar nuclei. So the two polar nuclei are located within the central cell. So therefore, the reason is wrong. Next is 140. What is 140? Neuroplastic characteristics of cell refers to what? It yeah, refers to the abnormal and uncontrolled growth of the cell. When I'm talking about the neuroplastic characteristics, it is all about abnormal and uncontrolled growth of cell. So out of these four options, which will be the correct one? Rapid growth of the cell will be correct. Correct. Then a mass of proliferating cells will be correct. Then invasion and damage to the surrounding tissues might also be correct. So what would be your answer? Option 3, that is A, B, C only. Next is 141. The given below are the stages in the life cycle of the pteridophytes. Arrange the following stages in the correct sequence. So, can you justify what might be the very first stage? See, one is spore mother cells in the sporophyte undergo what? the meiosis to produce the spores, and the spores germinate. It actually what happens? It germinate to form the gametophyte. They're called as prothallus. Do you remember that? Then this is how it happens. And Antheridia as well as Archeogonia develop on the prothallus, right? Then Anthrozoids swim to Archeogonia, and then that fertilization occurs. So this is a story. So what would be the correct option? It is the second one, right? So that is first the meiosis in spore mother cell will be the first. Then the prothallus stage will be the second, correct? Then after that, it will be formation of the Archeogonia and Antheridia in the gametophyte will be your third. Yes. Then it will be E. And this fertilization will be the last step. So you're clear. We have 142 now. 142 is given below are two statements. Assertion both wind and water pollinated flowers are not very colorful and do not produce nectar. Correct. Reason the flowers produce enormous amount of pollen grains in wind and water pollinated flowers. Something they have told. So what might be the correct to this? Both A and R are actually true. But whatever the reason that they are giving in adjacent to A, right, it is not the correct explanation of A. So that is option 3 because both winds and water pollinated plants are not very colorful and they do not produce nectar, but they have an enormous amount of pollen grains. Okay. So the flower produces enormous amount of pollen grains in wind and water pollen flower. So here both A and R are both are true. Okay. But this will never be a correct explanation to this. Next, 143. Which of the following enzymes contains heme as a prosthetic group? Is a question mark. Correct. 134. What would be the correct option here? So it would be explanation. That is the catalyst would be the correct one. Because they have what? They have this group. Then 144. I'll go to the 144. So it does match the following. So what would be the correct option? Yes, option 1 is correct. That is emphysema. So you will see it is due to the damaged alveolar walls and decreased respiratory system. Angina pectoris, that is B, which will be because of the acute chest pain when not enough oxygen is reaching to heart muscles. Then the C one will be the inflammation of the glomerular of the kidney. And the last one, that is tetany, is because of the rapid spam in the muscle due to the low concentration of the Ca++ ion in body fluid. 145 question. So what does 145 here states? Find the statement that is not correct with regard to the structure of the monocot stem. So yeah, out of this context, it is actually the hypodermis and the parenchymatous because in monocot stem, the hypodermis is usually sclerenchymatous, not the parenchymatous. So this is not the correct. 146 is the which of the following statement is correct about location of the male frog copulatory pad? First digit of the forelimb. Direct question. Because it is located there only. 147. Statement 1. The primary source of energy in an ecosystem is solar energy. Statement 2. The rate of production of organic matter during photosynthesis in an ecosystem is called net primary productivity. That is nothing but NPP. In the light of above two statements, choose the most appropriate answer from the option given below. 147. What would be this? So statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. Why? Yes. What might be the reason? The rate of production of organic matter during the photosynthesis in an ecosystem is actually called as not net primary productivity. Rather, it is called as gross primary productivity. That's what. So the next question, which is 148. So you have to identify what comes what. So out of these, what does identify the part of bioreactor, which is used as the foam breaker from the given figure? So what would be the correct here? Of C1, foam breaker. Correct. Here it is. C represents the breaker in the bioreactors. The next is 149. So polymeric chain reaction amplifies DNA following equation. So it is 2 to the power n. It's a correct formula. 150. We have to match the correct one. Head, genetic material. Then this is about this thing. Tail, what does middle piece, what it consists actually? Energy, right? Sperm, if you remember the diagram, then acrosomes are actually present that has an enzyme. Then the tail helps in motility. So what would be the correct now? Second one, the 150. The next is 151. Statement 1 in the floral formula. This thing stands for zygomorphic nature of the flower, and G stands for inferior ovary. Statement 2 in the floral formula. This stands for an actinomorphic nature of the flower, and G stands for the superior ovary. So, which is the correct among them is your question. So, the statement 1 is correct and the statement 2 is incorrect. Why? I will just say you. See, in statement 2, this thing stands for actinomorphic nature. That is what they are saying, right? So, so it actually stands or represents the actinomorphic. Okay. The statement 1 will be incorrect because here see this in floral formula, this represent the zygomorphic nature. So this is wrong. So what it actually represents? It represents the actinomorphic nature only. So which is correct. So statement 1 is incorrect, but the statement 2 is correct. 152, it is 1. That is sorry, 152, right? From the statement given below, choose the correct option. Okay. So this is regarding the ribosome structure. Can you guess what might be the correct option to it? So A is correct, B is correct, yes, and C is also correct, 152. So rest are actually not correct, right? So what would be the correct option now? A, B as well as C. 153 we will go, students. So what about 153? Each of the following characteristics represents a kingdom proposed by the Whittaker, arranging the following in increasing order of the complexity of the body organization. 153. So you will see option 3 is the correct because, see, this is the prokaryote will be the first when you are actually going this thing. Then you will have the eukaryotes, right? So after eukaryotes, you will actually see the multicellular organisms. After multicellular organisms, you will see again like the eukaryote autotrophs with tissue organ level and all. Then finally, you will see what? The body organization. Correct. So option 3, like first will be the Monera, then the Protista, then the fungi, then the Plantae, and the last is kingdom Animalia. 154 we will go. So what does 154 say? The correct sequence of events in the life cycle of the bryophyte is. So it is attaches the gametophyte to the substrate will be of first, then release of the anthrozoids in water will be the second, fusion will be the third, and formation of the sporophyte will be the fifth. This will be the last. So option 4. 155. So you have to choose which of them are actually correct. So computed tomography and a magnetic resonance image detect cancer of the internal organ is correct. Then chemotherapeutic drugs are used to kill non-cancerous cells is wrong. Then uh, alpha interferon activates the cancer patient's immune system and helps in destroying the tumor is correct. Chemotherapeutic drugs are biologically response modified is wrong. In case of leukemia, blood cell count are decreased. No. So one is right. 156 will be like name the class of enzyme that usually catalyze the following reaction. So these are the reaction. So which will catalyze it? Actually, transferase is an enzyme which catalyze this reaction. So 157, find the correct statement. Okay. So in human pregnancy, the major organ system are formed at the end of 12 months is correct. The next one will be like 157, right? In human pregnancy, the major organ system are formed at the end of the eighth week is wrong. Then in human pregnancy, heart is formed after 1 month of gestation is again wrong. All right. Gestation period, right? Yeah, it is formed. Sorry. So C is correct. Then D. In human pregnancy, limbs digits secondary month is correct. In human pregnancy, the appearance of the hair is usually observed in the fifth month is also correct. So option 1 is correct. 157, right. Then 158 is about which of the following is an example of non-distillated alcoholic beverages produced by the yeast? It is beer. Then 159, even below statement 1, in the RNA world, RNA is considered the first genetic material evolved to carry out the essential life process. RNA acts as a genetic material and also as a catalyst for some important biochemical reaction in living system. So being reactive, RNA is unstable. But statement 2 says that the DNA evolved from RNA and is more stable genetic material. Its double helix strands being complementary resist changes by evolving repairing mechanism. So in the light of the above statement, choose the appropriate answer from the options given below. So what would be the appropriate answer according to you? Both statement 1 and statement 2 are actually correct. There's nothing wrong in it, okay? Given below, To statement one, transfer RNAs and ribosomal RNA do not interact with mRNA. Is your statement one? Is it correct? The first statement, I guess it's wrong. We'll move to the second statement and analyze it. RNA interference takes place in all eukaryotic organisms as a method of cellular defense. Uh, See, tRNA, that is this transfer RNA, and rRNA, that is the interference RNA, okay, with mRNA, messenger RNA, where RNAi, that is interference RNA, takes place in the eukaryotic cells as defense mechanism. That's why the statement is wrong. So statement one is incorrect, where statement two is correct. Okay. So coming to the 161. So this is direct question. So where you have to see with regard to the proximal and the distal. So first thing is, what do you mean by proximal here? So the function of the proximal tube is essentially reabsorption of the filtrate in accordance with the need of the homeostasis equilibrium. So whereas the distal part of the nephron and the collecting duct are mainly concerned with what? Regulation of water, right? Electrolyte as well as the hydrogen ion balance. So option three would be the correct. Right. So, what is 120, 162? That is, which is the pattern of inheritance for polygenic trait, right? So, it's again very simple, non-Mendelian inheritance pattern, because non-Mendelian genetic involves the pattern of the inheritance that does not follow the Mendel's law. So, it actually describes the inheritance of traits linked to a single gene on the chromosome. Okay, so this is one part. Next, we will move to the in the seeds of cereals, the outer coating of the endosperm separates the embryo by a protein-rich layer. It is actually called as what? First one, that is areola layer. So here, this is what you have to know, because the endosperm is actually separated from the embryo by a distinct layer, which is called as areolon layer, and it is very rich also. 164. We'll move here. So it is chlorophyll A. It is blue-green color. Then chlorophyll B will be yellow-green in color. This will be yellow to yellow in color, and this will be yellow to yellow green in color. So what would be the correct? I think this. Yes. 165. Which of the following genetically engineered organisms was used by Eli Lilly to prepare human insulin? It is obviously the bacteria E. coli. Remember? So what happened in insulin were designed using a sequence of amino acids for the insulin A and B peptide chain, and then the genetic code with a selection of coding refers to as E. coli. 166. Which of the following are the post-transcriptional event in the eukaryotic cells? So out of these, like A, they have saying that the transport of pre-mRNA to the cytoplasm prior to slicing, removal of the intron and joining of the extron, addition of methyl group at 5' end of the hnRNA, base printing of two complementary RNAs. So here it's actually the third one, B, C, D only. Okay. So in 167, centromere It is actually involved in the cell division. Then cilium, momentum, obviously. Then cristae, you will find that in the mitochondria. And cell membrane, obviously, it has phospholipid bilayer in nature. So it is from the class 11th, that is the cell. So what is the correct option now? First one. So what is 168? Again, match the following. So the scientist, that is Alfred Hershey and Marshall Cree, a very famous experiment. You remember? So it is DNA as genetic material conformation, right? So that is they work with the bacteriophage here. Then you had the euchromatin. So what is that euchromatin? It is lightly stained, loosely packed of the chromatin. So B will be the third. Then Frederick Griffith experiment. You know that. So it is a dark stain, tightly packed part of the chromosome. So denser packed and dark stain. C. Then the last one will be C will be what now? D will be the two, that is heterochromatin. So what do you mean by heterochromatin? It is the denser packed and dark stain. And Frederick Griffith experiment is about the Streptococcus pneumonia. So that means uh, he actually worked on transforming principle. Correct? So yeah. So what would be the correct now? 160. This would be the correct one. Yes. So it is from the molecular basis of inheritance. 169. It's again a direct question. That is the chromosome I. Why? Because the maximum number of genes of the human is almost like, according to the Genome Project, is 2968 a gene. That is what they say. Where if you are going with the Y chromosome, na, so it will be around 50 to 60. X chromosome do has, but it is almost 100 to 1100. So this is the highest one. So next is 170. What is it? What are the potential drawbacks in adopting of the IVF method? It is very easy. B, D, and F only, because B, it is expensive instrument and reagent. Yes, it is correct. D is less adoption of orphan, because what happens? It might lead to some couples to pursue biological children instead of adoption. So that is one of the drawback. Next drawback will be, yeah, that is possibility that the early embryo does not survive. That is one of the significant number of embryo may not survive the early stages of development, which leads to failed IVF cycles. So 171 is about which of the following is an example of ex situ conservation, zoos and botanical garden. So in situ, ex situ conservation, you are aware of the process of protecting of an uh, genius plants or animal species in the natural habitat is commonly called as in situ conservation, where ex situ conservation is the relocation of the endangered species or rare species from their natural habitats to protect the areas equipped for their protection and preservation, like zoos, botanical garden, and all. 172. Uh, a specialized membranous structure in the prokaryotic cell, which helps in the cell wall formation, DNA replication, respiration, is the mesosome. They're multifunctional structure that assist in the cell wall forming, DNA replication, and respiration in the bacteria also. So this I think you will be able to understand. According to this, okay, plasma, a line piece of the DNA is inserted. Now the ECOR-RI site, which of the following strategies will be chosen to select the recombinant? So directly Mostly I'll be choosing the white color colony will be selected because what happens here is when a foreign piece of the DNA is inserted into the gene. So just a
I'm
minute.
waiting for your update, final update.
Just a minute. Uh, yeah, that is what. So the process called as incineration, right? So because of this disturbation, the enzyme beta galactosidase is no longer produced. So now, as this beta galactosidase is no longer produced, what happens now when a special chemical, which is actually called as the chromogenic substances, is added to the growth medium. So now, if you visualize what happens, so they appear white because these colonies that have the which have the DNA, recombinant DNA, they cannot make an enzyme. So they appear white in color. So one thing is the color change is simple and effective way to identify which bacteria colony has successfully taken up for the foreign DNA. Okay. So here hybrid DNA. So obviously one DNA is there. So one bacteria, it is going to produce a color. But now you have taken that part of the DNA gene and you have inserted a foreign DNA to it. Now since you have removed that part and you have inserted a foreign DNA into that bacteria, so now the bacteria is lacking producing that enzymes which forms a color. That's it, simple. So white, that means this is a foreign DNA has been incorporated. It is common sense. 174, which what is the name of the blood vessel that carries the deoxygenated blood from the body to the heart in the frog? 174, that is vena cava. 175, which of the following organisms cannot fix nitrogen? So it is Volvax. Correct, 175. Am I right? Volvax. Because, see, one thing you need to be very clear that the only algal that is known to fix the atmospheric nitrogen in soil in that is the anabia. Other algal will not be able to. Volvax also comes as an algal. Okay. So next is 176. 176 is like pseudocoolomates is the correct answer. While trying to find out the characteristics of newly found animals, the researchers did a histological adult animal absorbed a cavity. You know the pseudomia characteristics, right? Nematodes are called as pseudocoolomates, right? Because in most forms, their uh, coulomb is not completely linked with the mesodermally derived cells, and they are triploblastic. Then possessing no muscles, right? Momentum is accompanied by contracting and relaxation of longitudinal muscles. So if you know all these things, you'll be able to answer it. 177, which of the following statement refers to reduc reduction biology? Oh, it's very easy. You remember the biomolecule chapter 9 from the class 11th? Yes, that is the second option, physiochemical approach to study and understand the living organism. So here you're actually the concept and technology of physics and chemistry, both you're applying to understand the biology. Then 178 is about uh yeah, epiphyte phytes. Epiphytes that are growing on a mangrove branch is an example of which of the following? It is very simple, commensalism, because it is a type of a biological interaction where one species is benefited while the other is neither benefited nor harmed. So here the it is benefited. Epiphytes, it is benefited because it is getting a place to grow where the mango is neither benefited, neither harm. Then 179, it is which of the following phytohormones promotes nutrient mobilization, which helps in the delay of the leaf senses in the plant. It is actually the cytokinin. Okay. Uh, Cytokinin is actually produced in the root of the apical meristem. Root of the apical meristems. Fine. So the last question, that is the complex 2 of mitochondrial electron transport chain, is also called as what? It is also called as succinate hydrogenase. Because see, this ET complex 2 or this succinate hydrogenase is shared with the TCA, that is tricarboxylic acid cycle, shared with TCA cycle. So it is no proton pumping capacity and was not known to have any role in the steroid metabolism. So this comes in the respiration in plants, chapter 14 of your 11th class. So this is it about your biology topic. I feel this time the biology questions were somewhat very easy. Not very, very easy, but it was somewhat doable. Okay. So only thing is you should be aware of the concepts. And for that, you can just cross check the Memoneet app as well as the number of series, YouTube series. Okay. And most, I'm very happy because when I was just going through the question paper and trying to answer it, most of the biology questions were from our Brahmastra test series as well as uh, the regular questions of the Memoneet app. So that's why I'm saying you practice makes man, that means the student, perfect. And please keep on practicing. Please keep on learning. Learning with the Memoneet, that's what shapes a better understanding. In this way, I wish you best of luck for your results of NEET. I wish you a very grand success. I really hope to see you all qualify this NEET exam. Memoneet has always been with you, is with you, and in future also it will be with you. So stay tuned with for the further updates.